Hi guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of Contain This. Boy, it's a hot one today, especially in this container. So, what am I doing? Okay, it looks like I got a hole in my wall. So, this area here is going to be the utility room. It's going to be, the wash machine, dryer, the electrical room, the mud room. There'll be a door on this end here, so people can come and go like a mud room, and then throw their laundry in the laundry, right? And then of course, hot water tank and other stuff will be in this area here. So I wanted to put a window in here, and it's an interesting story about my windows. Some guy calls me up and says, "I hear you're building a house." I said, "Yeah. Need some windows?" And I said, "Wow, I can come by and see what you got." And he says, "Okay, come by." So I went by. He had like not a garage full, but he had probably 10 or so windows sitting up in his garage, all stacked up, and they're all Milgard, dual insulated glass, vinyl windows. I said, "Oh, well," I said, "they're kind of odd sizes, which when you're building a container, you don't really care. You actually want the windows first. And that way you can build your opening according to the size of the window, right? So you should have your windows first. And of course, you can't insulate this place until you put windows in. So what I really, really wanted, it was on my dream list, is a window that was like maybe 2 or 3 feet tall by about 6 or 7 inches or feet wide. And he just happened to have 2 Milgard, and I didn't want XOXs or XOs, which is XOs, if you know anything about it, one's X is, I think, is sliding and the O is fixed. I didn't want an XO or an XOX. I wanted let's see if you can see it here. It's 3 panels, and you'll see it a little bit when I get it all put up. But anyway, it's 3 panels, no sliding windows or anything. It's vinyl windows, insulated glass. It's got a special cool sunray, tent or something. So anyway, these windows, like this Milgard window here, that's probably a $300 or $400 window. And he had 4 or 5 big windows, and they were the XOs, And I said, "So how much you want for them?" And he says, "Give me $150. I said, "I'll give you $100. I would have paid $300 just for this one. And I got 2 of them. If you look over here, there's another one right there. So I wanted 2 of them because one's going to go in this room, and then right here, it's not there yet, but right here is going to be the bathroom. So I'll probably put the other window above the shower, kind of thing. So anyway, so this is how I build it out. As you saw in the time lapse, I use a straight edge, just simple straight edge. Use my plasma cutter. That thing just goes nuts. And then previously I had gone and cut out and framed a frame here, okay? And so I just tacked it. I didn't know if my measurements are gonna be right. You need a little bit of, playroom in the windows and stuff. So anyway, man, those C-clamps, $5 a piece. And these are 5-inch C-clamps. If you're going to do this stuff, you got to have C-clamps. In fact, you can watch videos all day long on YouTube on how to put these windows in. Oh, by the way, one more thing. I used 1.5 inch angle iron, and probably what maybe to do is use 2-inch angle iron. I know a lot of these guys use box, 1x2 box square tubing. I just don't think the square tubing is the way to go, and I'll tell you the reason why. I don't know if you can see this, but like right here, you know, you don't have a real good clean, there's no way to make a really perfect cut all the way across there, right? You're always going to have these, you know, slips and oops and stuff going down here. And the angle iron covers all that whoop-de-doos as you go down. It doesn't matter if you're going to use a cutter, you know, like an angle cutter, or if you're going to use a plasma cutter like I use. You're still going to be doing this. And so the angle iron really does a good job of covering it up. If you're going to use square tube, you know, square tubing looks nice, but it would be just too hard to weld all the way up around. So anyway, that's my own opinion. So I think I'll have this finished up today. Hi, you're back. Hey, boy, that window was frustrating. I thought the pop out was frustrating. A lot of work. But this here's tricky because, you know, you're really dealing with squareness, right? So you want to give yourself enough room on two cutouts, right? On the cutout of the frame, you know, the frame that you're going to be putting around the window. So you got to have, you know, some, you don't want too big of a gap, you know, around there. You need it kind of tight, not real tight, but you need to be able to have some, you know, fudge room. And then when you go and cut out the wall, you need your fudge room. And so because the fudge room is because you're talking about squareness and trying to get everything nice and square, but you don't want the thing big all sloppy and everything, right? Either too. So if I was going to do, in fact, I got another window I'm going to be doing over here in the bathroom. On that one, I'm going to do, as I told you before, I did 1.5 inch angle iron. So really you need to do like 2, 2.5, 2.25. I don't know the sizes. So anything bigger than 1.25 inches on the angle iron. It's not in permanently, I just wanted to see it fit. There was a little grinding to this. This is a used window. So some of it had some goop around it. So I had to take some of the goop out because the goop was just enough for it to not go in. Plus it was just a little out of square, like 1 degree, half a degree off in the corner. So I had to do a little grinding and it went right in. So now I'm gonna pull it back out, weld it up. I didn't want to do any welding until I made sure, confirmed that the window goes in. So I can make the window go in right now. Even if I weld up and things warp and move, I can still make the window go in because it's vinyl, so you can just kind of trim it and then you can always grind like I just did. Also, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill some holes in the angle iron, run some screws up, run about 6 to 8 screws. Put it in there. So that's the window story. I'll show you when I'm finished. Okay, so we finally got the window in. So I'm okay with it. I like the window for sure. The installation could have been a little bit better in my opinion. If I would have thought ahead a little bit, I could have probably done a better installation. And what I mean by that, and you guys probably would have never known, but if I would have moved the window over, about 3 inches, I could have saved myself from putting this angle iron. You'll notice right here, the end of the frame, the angle iron, is in this groove, in this divot. And if I would have thought ahead of time, I'd have moved this whole thing over about 2 inches to where this angle iron could have been welded on this, the higher end here. And I think I would have had the room, because if you look here, I could have straddled, you know, I could have brought this edge over to here about 3 inches, and that would have gave me about 3 inches from here to there. So that's just, you know, one of those mistakes you learn as you go. The other thing is, I don't really like this window sticking out that far. I'd rather have it more recessed. But because I use an 1.5 inch angle iron, I have to run screws on the back side, right? So, and I have to push the window towards me to the outside to be able to put those screws in. So, so all I gotta, and I forgot to prime it. I was gonna go and run a bead of primer around it so the angle iron doesn't rust until we paint it, but that's okay. We're good with that. I'll do a water test pretty soon. All I gotta do is take some caulking and caulk around the window on little areas where the thing warped. Now, I learned my lesson on this on the window here, right? So then when I installed my door, you'll notice that the purling is up against the high section of the container, right? So both sides, I was able to gather the high side. So what I took, the knowledge that I got from the window, I applied to my door. Now we're gonna go install another window somewhere in this area. Yep, finally finished the windows. I am so glad that these 2 windows are the only windows in this whole project that will be done off the side of the corrugated side. When I add the next couple more containers, and then I'm gonna add 2 containers on the back side of this, and then I'm gonna be adding 2 containers on top as a master bedroom. So I'm doing the windows completely different. You'll have to wait and see it. That's about a year off. But anyway, I'm really not 100% satisfied with these windows. But you know, I'm no professional. It is what it is. So deal with it, Randy. So both these installations are completely different. The first window over here, I used this 1.5 inch angle iron. I mainly got it, if you watch my other episode on the IG units on the front doors, on the big doors, this was good stuff. But I complained on that video that this stuff is too thick. It's hard to cut. And so I wanted to go to something thinner. So in the meantime, I went ahead and did the 1.5 inch on that one there. And
my windows, of course, I said earlier in this video here, this episode, that the windows are 3 inches and this is 1.5 inches. So it was hard to find. I had to push the window out so I could run the screws in here, and so it didn't really work out that great. So if you'll notice, that window's pushed out a little bit. I noticed earlier, I mentioned it earlier in the episode. So I found, this I was not in a hurry to put this window in because I didn't really like how that one turned out. So I ended up going to a buddy in town, and I found this material here. This is I think this is 2-inch by 4-inch. It's almost half of a purling, you know, or all you have to do is add another rail here and you'd have a receiver, you know. So I thought, all right, it's thinner, right? So this it turned out to be 16 gauge. I think that 1.5 angle iron is 1/4 inch, or it might be 18 gauge or something. This is 16 gauge. I know this will be perfect. So I had plenty of room, you know, once I install it, plenty of room to run screws in it. So as you can see, this window here is not sticking out as much as that one is, because I got this one set in because I could run the screws in it because I had a couple inches to work with there. But the problem with this stuff is you're welding all this, right? You got to protect it from the weather. This stuff, when you started welding on it, it just warped all over the place. So like inside the container, the metal going down there is just doing this, just crazy. So don't use 16 gauge on anything if you weld on it. So I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna say, Randy, you're crazy. I'm beginning to think that one of two things. Take this channel, this angle iron that I got, and turn it the other way. Okay, I turned it this way, so that way you cover up the whoop-de-doos when you cut it, and then use this as your outside, you know, molding or whatever. Well, if you turned it the other way, the channels the other way, you'd have this, you wouldn't have this lip on this side, you'd have it on the other side, and then you would have this straight lip coming out. Well, Randy, what's the advantage of that? Every one of these right here, these corrugated dips, water can get back in there on the back side and sit there. It's going to do one of two things. It's going to sit there and find a way to get in, like water does, or it's going to rust. Just sit there and rust and rust. So I think the reason why a lot of people use the box tubing, the square tubing, the 1x2 square tubing, is that way they don't have those pockets of stuff where water can get in there and just sit there and rust and stuff. So I think what I contend with it is every one of those pockets I filled with a filler. I don't care anymore. I'm done with these windows. I don't want to see them anymore. I want to see through them, but not at them. And thank goodness this is the last time I'll do corrugated windows. So again, thank you for tuning into this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful, maybe entertaining. I don't know. So it is what it is. It's my journey. You know, you're welcome to watch and follow along or not. So there you go. Anyway, so long. Stay safe.